Morning.
Thank you all for joining the board meeting of the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. And I'm so excited to be in Gary this morning. Thank you all for hosting us. And I'd like to thank Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson for joining us today. And Mayor Wilson, where are you? Way back there. Come on up here and share some wisdom with us. Karen and I belong to a group, Women in Government, together, and so we're just so thrilled to have you here. And would you care to make some comments?
Certainly. It is certainly not every day that we have the honor of having our Lieutenant Governor and the entire Indiana Housing and Community Development Board here. I knew it in a different time, so I always have to remember the right acronym. But to our Lieutenant Governor, Suzanne Crouch, and certainly to our Executive Director, Jacob Sipe, the great news about having the board meet, and to all of the board members, the great news about having the board meet today is that you are not strangers to our community, and that is a good thing for us. When you look at this beautiful facility, the Northwest Indiana Veterans Village, when you look at the Village of Hope, when you look at all of the projects that you have in some way helped to influence or finance, we are very, very grateful for your hand in this community, and so we're excited for you to be physically present in our community. And I just want to say welcome and thank you for the work that you do. It is an honor for the City of Gary and all of our partners to work with you, and we look forward to the projects that are to come.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson, and thank you for your service, not just to the City of Gary, but to the state of Indiana. Thank you. I would like to thank Mark McDaniel, who is the CEO of Senair and the owner and developer of Silver Birch, for having us here this morning. Thank you, and I believe we have some remarks.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today. Veterans housing has been a personal mission for me for over 30 years. I've been working on trying to do something to help, especially homeless veterans, find adequate, safe, decent housing. Back 30 years ago, nobody wanted to talk about it. Everyone, nobody wanted to talk about it. They were just hiding. That was the safe place to be. They didn't want to admit there was a problem. But we finally, 10 years ago, we were able to kind of crack that, and we were able to get our first 2 developments done in Michigan. They're pilot programs in the country, in Detroit and Battle Creek. And that experience with those developments brought us here with our presence here in Indiana to lead us to be able to do Lincoln Apartments in Indianapolis, Chambers Apartments in Marion, and now this. And you don't do these things unless you have the support of the Housing Finance Authority. And Jacob and his team and Lieutenant Governor, you have been champions for this. You've been supportive of it. You've made these happen when we kind of came and said, are you willing to look at doing veterans housing? And we really appreciate the level of support that you've given us over these years to get these done. And it's important work. And when it's my grandfather was in World War I. Growing up hearing his stories and then going through the Vietnam period with a lot of my friends, it was something that it was very important to me to be able to give back to them because of all that they've sacrificed. And that's what drives our staff. David Helm here, I think this is his personal mission here in this facility, all that he's done for the people that live here. It's been a wonderful thing. So I want to thank you, thank the mayor for your support on this. I know we've had some bumps, and you've been there through the whole thing, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for being partners with the Housing and Community Development Authority and the City of Gary, and doing what little we can to, to pay back those men and women who have sacrificed so much so that we can be here today. So thank you for that partnership. I'm General Counsel. Is there a quorum?
Yes, Madam Chair, you do have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we will start first by going around the room, introducing ourselves and who we represent, so that those that are watching us live stream will have some idea of who the members of the board are. So we may start.
My name is Andy Place. I'm a builder developer from South Bend.
My name's Jeff Whiteside. I'm the Vice President of Community Sustainability with Vectoring.
Jacob Sipe, Executive Director of the Indiana Housing Community Development Authority.
Suzanne Crouch, Lieutenant Governor and Chair of the board.
Rebecca Casper, General Counsel to the Lieutenant Governor.
Mark Woolner, I'm designee for the Office of Treasurer, Treasurer Kelly Mitchell, and Vice Chair of the Board.
Mark Pascala, Indiana Finance Authority, designee for the Public Finance Director, Dan Hughey.
Sheena Robinson, IHCDA Paralegal and the Board Secretary.
Great. I'm calling to order the June 28, 2018 meeting of the Indiana Housing Community Development Authority Board of Directors. And the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the May 24th, 2018 board meeting. Board, are there any questions, any corrections, additions to the minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes and the minutes are approved. Please welcome Alan Rakowski to discuss a recommendation regarding bond volume 4% credits for Lake Meadows Assisted Living. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, members of the board. Alan Rakowski, I'm the Tax Credit Manager at IHCDA. Here today to present a recommendation for bond volume and 4% credits for Lake Meadows Assisted Living. Regarding the process, the 2018-19 QAP was approved last August, and we began accepting applications under that QAP at that point for 4% credits in bond volume. The third application we received for bond volume under that QAP has a total development cost of $22.8 million with $15,475,000 in bond volume and $792,716 in tax credits annually for 10 years to create 123 units of affordable housing. CNH Capital is going to be developing a new construction of a two-story, 123-unit assisted living development in Fishers, and I do want to acknowledge that Dan Hubbard of CNH Capital is here today, is one of the lead developers on this project. It will consist of studio and one-bedroom apartments with a wide range of personal care and supportive services available to the residents. It's located along East 126th Street in Fishers and adjacent to I-69, so a good location that offers quick access to nearby amenities, including grocery stores, parks, and many medical facilities. As part of our due diligence, we met to ensure that the project met the criteria of the 2018-19 QAP. And on June 4th, we invited the applicant and members of the development team to come in and present the project to members of the executive committee and the real estate department. So the recommendation we have today is for an allocation of $15,475,000 in bond volume and $792,716 in tax credits to Lake Meadows ALLP for Lake Meadows Assisted Living. And I'd be happy to field any questions.
Board, any questions for Alan? Alan, we're ready for your resolution.
Okay. Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve awarding $15,475,000 in bond volume and $792,716 in annual tax credits to Lake Meadows ALLP for Lake Meadows Assisted Living according to the terms of the 2018 AB application round as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution before us. Is a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
And I want to apologize, but we do have Dara Grady, who is the property manager with Flaherty Collins, who hosted us and kind of took us on a tour this morning. I apologize, but if you would like to share some thoughts with us, we would love to hear you, and thank you for the tour.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming, and I'll go quickly. I know that you're on a tight schedule, and Again, I'm so happy to have you all here. I think this is such a really neat, unique place to be and place to work, certainly right here in Gary, and I love for more people to know about it, you know. Here at Northwest Indiana Veterans Village, we love our veterans and we love the community, and we want it to come in because it really does take a village. I know that sounds corny, but it's true because our wonderful social work team, to say that they provide case management services doesn't begin to describe what these individuals do here. Veronica Walker-Douglas, Sheila Mitchell-Erb, Michael Moore, and Valita Wilson do so much for our veterans, from the application process to day-to-day life. And so I don't, you know, they really are just such a huge part. And our community supporters that help broaden our services and enrich our wellness programming make our mission possible and a lot more fun. For example, I was talking about on our tour Sentier Bank, and they're here today, and they're year-long supporters of us, but they donated our little free library, and they're going to be doing online banking classes in our computer lab. And I mentioned how the United Way was going to help with our key fob for our parking lot, and Majestic Star's generous donation that still keeps fueling all of these projects here, from the weight room to the pavilion that we have planned for out back by the garden, and First United Methodist Church stocking our pantry. The list goes on and on. I could be here all day talking about the community support and how important it is to making this village run. Everything we do here is a shared effort amongst our veterans, the staff, and the community, and our urban garden that you saw and that we have is a kind of a holistic example of all of that. Our veterans, like John Messman, are involved in the entire project, from planning to hauling dirt to the daily gardening tasks. The St. Matthias Youth Group, as I mentioned, was here at the beginning, and they brought the seeds and the soils and the trays, and the USW Local 1014 that built the garden beds in the back, and the Billy Moore with the Gary Police Youth Athletic Activities League that helped get all the dirt in there. So it really did take a little bit of everybody to make something like that possible. And that pretty much. Oh, and then I just did want to mention, you know, our upcoming events. We do try to provide a variety of different services and things. So for last night, we had an NA meeting. And then tomorrow we have our computer skills classes with Colette Emery from Ivy Tech here locally. We have the Buffalo Soldiers Motorcycle Riders Club that's going to be doing a big supply delivery on July 7th. The veterans have organized their own party on the rooftop on July 7th, so they do that, and they post their flyers and people pitch in and go. The St. Matthias Catholic Church is having a pancake breakfast here. They're going to be cooking in our kitchen for everybody on the 15th. And then Sheila and the social work team have been working hard to organize the NWI Veterans Stand Down on July 27th, and that's been an enormous project to help veterans and homeless veterans in our area. And then Thursdays, Veronica has been doing the 6-week Summer Power series, and she's got a variety of topics for each week, like sleep power, food power, activity power. You know, there's just a variety of different services going on all the time. We try to have something for everyone and incorporate everyone into it, and that's about all I have. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Dara. Any questions? Thank
No.
you. Appreciate it. Please welcome Greg Stocking to discuss a recommendation regarding home tenant-based rental assistance award recommendations. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Greg. I oversee the Section 8 and Housing Choice programs for IHCDA. A feature of the Home Investment Partnership Program is that it can be used to provide tenant-based rental assistance, also known as TBRA, we love our acronyms, to low-income households. This subsidy helps make up the difference between what a renter can afford and the actual cost of the rent, as well as assisting with utility costs, security deposits, and utility deposits. HUD allows IHCDA to establish preferences for this funding, And the state of Indiana's 2018 action plan further allows us to provide assistance to persons who were formerly incarcerated and who have barriers to obtaining housing that puts them at risk of becoming homelessness. For the purposes of this program, IHCDA has defined formerly incarcerated as persons exiting a corrections system at risk of homelessness due to a lack of stable housing, or individuals who currently are experiencing homelessness who were formerly incarcerated. Studies that we have show that access to supportive housing and decent, safe, and affordable housing really do impact recidivism and help stabilize communities. And IHCDA's experience funding reentry programs has supported these studies. As far as the process is how we came to these two agencies to fund, the policy manual and the request for qualifications were released on April 30th. Following that, an informational webinar was conducted in early May. Responses to the RFQ were due at the end of May, and to be eligible for the program, recipients had to be an eligible 501c3. In mid-June, IHCDA staff received 2 responses requesting an aggregate award of $600,000 to serve 115 households. One from Aurora, who proposed serving primarily Vanderburgh County, as well as other counties in southwest Indiana. And the second proposal came from the Hoosier Veterans Assistance Foundation, who proposed serving veterans in Marion County and surrounding central Indiana counties. Members of the internal selection committee reviewed the proposals individually and then came together as a group to discuss the merits of each proposal. We looked at compliance with the RFQ submission, experience administering other rental assistance programs, financial capacity, readiness to proceed, and overall program design. And at this time, staff recommends that the board approve awarding an aggregate allocation of the $600,000 in Home Investment Partnership Program funding to the applicants listed in Table A to administer TBRA. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Greg?
Madam Chair, Greg, maybe more of a policy question. $600,000 is the total amount that you received.
Correct.
Is there an opportunity, maybe Jake or Greg, there's such a need for rental subsidy, and then populations returning from incarceration, $600,000 seems like just barely a drop in the bucket from what we can do. Is there an opportunity at the federal level? You see that potentially increasing in the future? The TBRA seems like such a need at the state level.
The home program has continued to be reduced. We're at about $14 million annually, and primarily we use the dollars for filling gaps on our construction, for creating new units,
right.
Taking a small portion just for TBRA. TBRA has been kind of it is very small, but when you look at the bigger pot that we have, we really don't have that much money available to provide for gaps on our tax credit developments. We had a round that also does it for rural Indiana that develop new construction, which sometimes you can't get 24 units in terms of the market. You might be able to get 10. So you're right. It'd be nice if we had more resources. We do have one of the larger increases with the home program in probably the last 10 years. I think we're around 14 million this year. Where in the past it was down to around 10 to 11. So we are seeing a little bit more, and I think that little bit bump that we got this year allows us to do the home TBRA without having to reduce the amount of production that we normally would do with the tax credits and just a home round. Yeah, it'd be nice if we did have some more resources to do that. But I should say also, we use other programs too, rapid rehousing. I know Jill's here. We're going to talk a little bit about energy solutions or emergency solutions grant as well. Rapid rehousing has been a real great partnership we have with FSSA to help that as well. Okay. So there are, and we do have an application in for another rental assistance program, and I'll talk about it at the end of the meeting to give you an update on that. But yeah, there's 2 applications, in fact, we're working on to bring more rental assistance to the state. Yeah.
And a follow-up conversation I can have with Matt is a benefit of having TBRA housed with the other Section 8 rental assistance programs. I think that's going to give us an opportunity to look at our existing Section 8 funding and how we might be able to extend existing funding to these referral sources to these eligible target populations. Are there policies we can address that we have control of and get people access to the funding we already administer?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the staff looking at that. Fantastic.
Any additional questions? I believe we're ready for your resolution.
Staff respectfully requests that the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve awarding an aggregate allocation in the amount not to exceed $600,000 in home investment partnership program funding to the two applicants listed in Table A to administer tenant-based rental assistance as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution before us. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Greg.
Much.
Appreciate it. Please welcome Jill Robertson to discuss 3 recommendations regarding emergency solutions grant allocations. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Jill Robertson. I'm the Director of Community Services, and we oversee the homeless programs for the state of Indiana. So the Emergency Solutions Grant, it is actually a formula grant that HUD provides to the state and to other eligible jurisdictions around the country. IHCDA is the designated recipient of the state funds. So we actually award ESG funds in all of the 91 counties, excluding Marion County. What's happened over the last few months is we have been able to make awards or recommendations for shelter funds, for street outreach, and also for rapid rehousing and homeless prevention. So just to talk a little bit about what those components are. So the Esg Shelter Program covers our emergency needs within shelters. We do have street outreach programs that are reaching out to, for example, homeless veterans and other individuals that are living in places not meant for habitation. And then finally, the ESG grant covers rapid rehousing, trying to make sure that people are quickly housed again and not living in any kind of crisis type of situation. So our applicants actually responded to a request for proposal in April of this year. Those applicants those applications were scored, and those recommendations were actually taken to the Continuum of Care Board and approved May 24th of this year. So the process is that the state received this year $3,634,870 for this program year 2018. So if you notice the table below, you'll see the recommendations for how that money would be distributed. The administration, $272,615 for operations and outreach, and that does include the shelter funds, $2,017,353. And then for rapid rehousing, you can see quite an investment there, $1,344,902. There were 48 people that applied for the ESG shelter funds, 6 that applied for street outreach, and 15 that applied for rapid rehousing. So the maximum request that was made for shelter funds was $60,000, with first-time applicants coming in at $25,000. Then for street outreach, a maximum of $50,000 could be applied for, with the lower end being $25,000 for new applicants. And then for rapid rehousing, a minimum of $250,000, or the upper end at $250,000, and then the lower end at $50,000. So you might notice in your packet you have a couple of exhibits. You'll see there is a table that has, actually I believe it's Exhibit A, that contains a map that shows you the regions around the state. And then we have matched that up to the exhibits B through D, so you can see where the projects are located around the state and their requests and the actual shelter or outreach or rapid rehousing allocations. Are there any questions?
Board, any questions for Jim?
How is it decided on what the requested amount versus the allocation amount? Is that a percentage?
It is, yes. If you, for shelter funds, approximately 78% of what individuals requested was approved. It's just unfortunately based on a formula because we don't have enough money to meet everyone's request.
Right. It's based on the overall funding, and
Yes.
it's just allocated. Okay,
Yeah.
I understand. Thank you.
Sure.
Any additional questions? Jill, we have 3 resolutions. I guess we're ready, and we will take them one at a time, vote separately on them. Thank
All right.
you.
Sure. Staff recommends awarding an allocation for the 2018-2019 program year Emergency Solutions Grant Fund in an aggregate amount not to exceed $1,902,353,000 for the shelter program to the organization set forth in Exhibit B. Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the board approve awarding an allocation for 2018-2019 program year Emergency Solutions Grant Fund in an aggregate amount not to exceed $1,902,353,000 for shelter program to the organization set forth in Exhibit B as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution before us. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion for approval?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're ready for your second resolution, Jill.
Staff recommends awarding an allocation for the 2018-2019 program Emergency Solutions Grant Funds in an aggregate amount not to exceed $115,000 for outreach to the organization set forth in Exhibit C. Resolved that the board approve awarding an allocation for 2018-19 program year Emergency Solutions Grant funds in an aggregate amount not to exceed $115,000 for outreach to the organizations set forth in Exhibit C as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution before us. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve, Madam Chair.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries, and we're ready for your third resolution, Jill.
Sure. Staff recommends awarding an allocation for 2018-19 program year for Emergency Solutions Grant funds in an aggregate amount not to exceed $1,344,902 for rapid rehousing, homeless prevention to the organization set forth in Exhibit D. Staff respectfully requests that the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve awarding an allocation for 2018-19 program year for Emergency Solutions Grant funds in an aggregate amount not to exceed $1,344,902 for rapid rehousing, homeless prevention to the organizations set forth in Exhibit D as recommended by staff.
We have a resolution before us.
Motion for approval?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Jill. And now you'll discuss home opportunities for person with AIDS funding allocation.
Right. So for the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, that's our HOPWA program. It is also a formula grant that's provided by HUD for low-income individuals and families who are living with HIV/AIDS. HOPWA funding is used for short and long-term rental assistance, mortgage assistance, utility assistance, facility-based assistance, housing information, supportive services, permanent housing, and a small amount goes to administering the program. IHCDA received $1,250,586,000 from HUD for the 2018-2019 program year. This is an increase of 13%. IHCDA has allocated $1,213,068 to the partners across the state. We received the applications through a request for proposal also in April, and those were evaluated and made sure that the basic threshold criteria was met. Funding allocations were determined based on the amount of funds requested, previous program success, epidemiology figures around the state, and the amount of households that were served and the funding that was available. If you'll notice, Table A has listed the applicants and their service areas, the amounts that they've requested, and the amount that was recommended. You'll also see in Exhibit A a map that shows around the state where these projects are located, should you have any questions. And I'm happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Board, any questions for Jill?
I think the board packet might be missing the allocation. I've got page 1 of the memo, so just,
The applicants? But it has amount recommended?
Yep.
They didn't update
I don't either.
didn't update the board packet. It was too late. I was already gone.
Did you all get a copy of it? Here.
So you're able to, it looks like in some cases, or in all cases, award more than the amount requested for each of the applicants?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Any additional questions for Jill? Jill, we're ready for your resolution.
Staff recommends that the board approve awarding an aggregate amount not to exceed $1,213,068 in HOPWA funds to applicants as set forth in Table A for the 2018-2019 program year. Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the board approve awarding an aggregate amount not to exceed $1,213,068 in HOPWA funds to applicants as set forth in Table A for the 2018-19 program year as recommended by staff.
We have a resolution before us. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And please welcome Richard Harcourt to discuss the issuance of a single-family mortgage revenue bonds, 2018 Series A.
Madam Chairman and Board, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Rich Harcourt. I am your brand-new CFO. And I'd like to take a moment and introduce some of my colleagues here that are here to help us with this. But Kim Harris is the manager of the Home Ownership Department, and we have Jeff Gertz from J.P. Morgan and Phil Janitas from Ice Miller's Bond Counsel. In order to continue to fund its single-family mortgage lending programs, which also includes down payment assistance, the authority proposes to issue single-family mortgage revenue bonds 2018 Series A in an amount not to exceed $100 million, issued under the 2016 amended and restated indenture of trust dated as of June 1, 2016. The resolution contemplates a potential use of excess and unpledged funds for the purchase of mortgage-backed securities, likely resulting in a better interest rate on that bond series. Over the next 2 to 3 months, staff will work with the established working group, including Ice Miller's Bond Counsel, CFX is our quantitative advisor, J.P. Morgan Securities is the lead underwriter. Pricing of the bonds is anticipated to be July of 18, with the closing funding of the 2018 Series A bonds occurring in August of 2018. Our recommendation is that the board approve the issuance of the 2018 Series A bonds and related transactions pursuant to the attached resolution.
Board, we have any questions?
Well, I'll do a couple comments.
Sure, absolutely.
I met with Rich, so I would like to be the first one to welcome him, on behalf of the board. He has an extensive background, so as we were discussing, I think he's going to fit very well and do a great job for IHCDA. We also did talk about the bonding, so this is just a standard for the single-family program that we are issuing. This has come from the board before. It's going to be fixed rate, so it's pretty vanilla, and again, it continues us being able to provide low-interest loans throughout Indiana. So we've already looked at it, and it looks
Great.
proper and correct.
Thank you. Any additional questions, comments? Richard, I believe we're ready for your resolution.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Having Mark on our board and providing oversight on this is really helpful, and I appreciate it, his help with that. Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approves the issuance of the 2018 Series A bonds and related transactions pursuant to the attached resolutions as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution before us. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, board.
Appreciate it. And please welcome Kim Harris to provide a home ownership update. Home ownership, 70% of Hoosiers.
Yes.
Home, right?
Yes, that's right. We try to make it more.
5% greater than the national average.
I know it. We try to make it more. That's the goal. Create programs to put people in houses. Wait a minute. Responsibly. That's the key we want to add to that. Well, good morning again, everybody. My name is Kim Harris. I'm the Homeownership Director here today. And what we're going to do today is give you an outlook on what we did for 2018 and kind of what, a little bit to a peek of what the future may hold. Not everything, but just a little bit of a peek for the future looking ahead. So I'm going to introduce Sarah Hawks, our pipeline manager. She's going to kick it off for us today.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. And thank you, everyone. Good morning.
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 I have a PowerPoint for you guys to give you the update of what the homeownership department has been doing. And before we do that, get this turned on here. I would like to introduce our staff. We have a couple people here. Again, my name is Sarah Hawk. I'm the pipeline manager. Kim Harris. In-house, we have Christine Clark. She is our northern account manager. And then we have Dolores Sisney. She is our program specialist. She does all the background work. And we wouldn't be able to do what we are a small group, but we're an efficient group. So I want to thank you again, especially since June is the homeownership month. It's a great month for us to give you this update. So discussing with you what we've been doing over the past couple of years. As you can see, in 2016, we had a tremendous year. It was a very strong year for the homeownership department. We pulled in over 3,000 reservations, which totaled a little bit over $352 million. Then in 2017, Indiana took a little bit of a hit, but we stayed strong. This was due to just the unique market. There was not a lot of inventory for our borrowers, but we still put in 18 reservations, excuse me, I apologize, with still over 32 million, or I get so hung up on numbers, I am so sorry, 320 million, a little over 320 million. And you can see that the average price still continues to increase what the loan was. In 2017, it did jump from 114 to 117,000. And then what you see in front of you is up to March. We've had put in 680 reservations, but to bring you full circle, we have so far up to June, we have done 1,534 reservations totaling over $189 million with an average loan value of $123,578. So we are showing growth. As you can see on this in front of you now, we still do a majority of our reservations in the 5 metropolitan areas. Those pull our biggest loans, which is Marion County, Allen County, St. Joseph, Lake, and Vanderburgh. But in 2017, we did see a trend spike in our smaller rural counties. They grew in program presence over 50%. For example, in the northern part of Indiana, in counties of Elkhart and LaPorte, in Elkhart, in 2016, they had 67 reservations, totaling a little over 8 million, and in 2017, they had 92 reservations, totaling over 10.5 million. And then in the port, we had 32 reservations, totaling a little under 3 million, and then in 2016, that was in 2016, and then in 2017, they had 33 reservations, which was over 3 million. That was reflected identical in the southern counties as well, Bartholomew and Clark. Bartholomew saw an increase in 2016 from 23 to 34 reservations. That totaled 2,679,188, and in 2017, they were right under 4 million. In 2016, Clark County had 72 reservations and then jumped to 92 reservations. In 2016, they were at a little under 8 million, and then in 2017, they were right under 11 million. So we did see an excellent increase. And you may ask why or how did that happen? And we would like to pay tribute to our account managers that are in the northern and southern parts, and they do what we like to call boots in the streets. So what they're doing is they're actually going out and meeting the smallest lender to the biggest lender. They're shaking their hand, they're easing their worries, they're answering their questions, they're actually putting a face to IHCDA instead of them just jumping online. So it has really helped with them just going in and speaking with the lenders directly. And Mark and Christine have done an excellent job. And then we also, what I'm going to show you guys now is we also did a partnership with Indiana Broadcasters Association through their public education program. And what we've created commercials, and those commercials, as of last year, we had 2 commercials that aired, and it was played over 50,000 times on TV and radio, over 300 stations. And due to this outreach, it did increase our website traffic 94%. So in a month, we had an average of 18,339 page views per month. So I'm going to have Chris, it's going to take him a minute, but he's going to cue up the very first commercial called Where It Started. And while he's queuing that up, I just wanted to let you guys know that, not that we expected it, but this commercial was nominated for a regional Emmy Award, something we're very proud of. So.
No, Jake's grilling.
And you may see some some stars in here too.
Home. It's where friends come together. It's where finishing touches simply mean more. And it's where even simple moments become lasting memories. Home is where communities come together. The state of Indiana offers down payment assistance and other benefits. See participating lenders at homeownership.in.gov.
This message is sponsored by the Indiana Housing Community Development Authority and this station.
Thank you, Chris. So that was one, like I said, we did have 2 commercials that aired, so that was one of them. The other one was basically the same thing, and then directed everyone to go to our website to get our participating lenders so that they could contact them and get to know more about our programs. And during this update today, I'd like to tell you guys where we're going now. So we have a program that is called Honor Our Vets, and we are partnering with the state of Indiana for the Next Level Veterans. I don't know if everyone is aware, but there are more than 200,000 servicemen and women who leave the military every year, and over half of them face unemployment. If we want to pave new roads, why not pave it for these veterans who have pledged to make this and sacrifice the most? Because there's currently over 85,000 unfulfilled jobs in Indiana. Through Next Level Veterans and the Homeownership Department, we have created what is called Honor Our Vets, and it's going to be qualified employers are going to list themselves on a website, and we are going to offer up to $5,000. That $5,000 can be used as relocation, closing costs, prepaids, or down payment assistance. They don't have to get a mortgage. It can be strictly for relocation, or if it can be if they want to rent, we'll help them just get here, because we're not just attracting veterans from Indiana, we're attracting them from all over the country to bring them to fulfill these positions. And this commercial that I'm going to have you watch is hot off the press. You guys will be the very first to see it. It's going to start airing, I believe, next month. And this is for the Next Level Veterans in the Honor Our Vets program.
You're used to stepping up and answering the call, protecting and serving as a member of our armed forces. Now the state of Indiana wants to honor our vets. The new Next Level Veterans website provides job opportunities, job training, and the Honor Our Vets homebuyer program specifically designed to keep and welcome qualified active duty, veterans, and retired military personnel to the Hoosier State. Indiana, where job opportunity and affordable home ownership meet.
Sponsored by the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority and aired by this station.
I think it did a very nice job capturing our beautiful city. So in the last part of where we can go, I wanted to let you guys know that in May of this year, we did announce in conjunction with U.S. Bank, the ability for our borrowers to begin purchasing manufactured homes again. This was significant to our programs, especially in our rural areas, because they did not have that ability last year. Opening that back up, it has helped open up so that they have a bigger choice of the housing market. And then as we grow, we are constantly looking for partnerships. So I just explained to you with On Our Vets that we are partnering with the state of Indiana. And then we also have a new program that we're going to be rolling out, partnering with Freddie Mac. It's going to be down payment assistance received through IHCDA as well as Freddie Mac. And that's going to actually help make our program and our down payment more competitive, as well as address some of the issues with seller concessions, so that our buyers are actually at 100% financing. And then we also are always looking for servicing solutions. So do you guys have any questions?
Any questions for Kim?
We didn't pay for the actors in the commercials, did we?
No.
I hope not.
Some of them maybe.
The partnership that we have, the partnership that we have with the Indiana Broadcasting Association, it covers the production of the material and the commercials, and yes, yeah. So actually, but the actors were actual some of our vets. We actually incorporated a few of them that
I think
were.
he's talking about the other commercial.
But the other folk, oh, which one?
He's talking about
Oh.
the
first one.
really good actors.
Okay, yeah. The guy on the grill, yeah. He's retired now from the, no.
Actually, look, I thought it looked good. I mean,
Very good. Oh, it's excellent.
But the Honor Our Vets one, that is still, there are still a few little tweaks we're making to that commercial. That is not the final clip. One of the things that you notice, it is very, well, I'll talk a little bit about the production. It does come off like very production related to Indianapolis, but we want it to be more overall Indiana. And so we actually we're trying to get a scene for Miller Beach to be in that commercial as well. So there's some things that we're trying to do to go back but that's a draft. That's not the final cut. And so we're working on the final pieces of that right now. But we wanted to give you a little bit of flavor of what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
Concept.
Yeah. Well done.
Sarah's On Our Vets, it sounds like kind of a connection to employment, but there's also a housing component to it. Like so for your department, how does On Our Vets plug in? What does that
So
look like?
our participating lenders, if they do want to come through and get a mortgage, our lenders would agree to participate in the program, and then they would come through, get the mortgage, and then get the down payment assistance as well.
Is it more of a streamlined process than for veterans versus like the normal? Because they could always come through the normal process, correct?
Right. It is there. So they're getting a VA loan. So
Okay.
it's still the 100% financing. So it would just be added on to that.
Cool.
And Mark, this is the first time we've been able to offer the VA product.
Yes.
So we have not offered that in the past. So that's that's the other new piece for
Yes.
us is the VA product.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it at a below market rate, but I'm working on that piece, so yeah. So we're trying to make it so that, veteran does have a distinct advantage from a rate perspective.
I suspect you'll get there. Knowing this team, you guys are very good at getting there. Thank you.
Yes, and this initiative, attracting veterans to the state, was an initiative of the governor's when this past fall he did his next level agenda and chaired me with kind of heading that initiative. Housing was already working on that piece of it, so it just made sense to turn it over to Jake and his team, and as usual, they have stepped up and outperformed themselves, so kudos to you all.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
It'll go a long way towards addressing and filling those 85,000 jobs, but also looking to the future, because Indiana's tech sector is the second fastest growing in the country. We have a lot of need all over the state for qualified workers. So this will go a long way towards attracting those military servicemen and women who are employable and skilled to Indiana. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Before we welcome Jake to provide his executive update, I wanted to acknowledge that Senator Eddie Melton was here earlier, but we have Senator Lonnie Randolph who has joined us. And thank you, Senator Randolph, for your service to the state of Indiana. And it's
Give my update? Okay,
it's your turn.
sure.
Your turn.
Well, as was just mentioned, June is Homeownership Month, and we're really proud to support and to be part of a a lot of our programs supporting the effort to become a homeowner. For many folks, many families, that'll be the biggest asset they'll ever have, and so we're really proud to be part of that process and to achieve homeownership. Really proud that Governor Holcomb issued a proclamation declaring Homeownership Month as June, so we're really proud of that. And then just last week, we celebrated Homeownership Month at a Habitat build with Lieutenant Governor came and our partners from the Indiana Mortgage Bankers Association, the Indiana Realtors, the Indiana Builders Association, and Habitat for Indiana, and the homeowner was there as well. And to be able to really just celebrate and the great work that and the partnerships that go on to achieving homeownership. So really proud of that event that we had last week, and I know that the rain held off just enough so we could have that event. So it was great for us to be part of that, and really proud of the partnerships we have for homeownership. So in addition to homeownership, obviously IHCDA is as Kim mentioned, we take homeownership with responsibility. And Indiana IHCDA administers the Indiana's Hardest Hit Fund, and we are proud that we'll be able to open that up on July 1st and start taking new applications again. We had to turn that off last year as we had dedicated those resources to homeowners, but for us, fortunately, we've had some funds come back, and as the economy has changed and improved and people have gotten themselves better situations today, we can still address families who have, or households that are faced with foreclosure. And the way that we'll be doing that with this one, when we open it back up on July 1st, is a reinstatement assistance. And what that will do is for households that can pay their mortgage now, but are still delinquent with past payments, we'll bring them current. And so this one-time reinstatement will help these households become current and maintain their mortgage. So we're really proud to be able to offer this again starting on July 1st. And if you have anyone who is at risk of foreclosure or facing foreclosure, you can have them call 1-877-GET-HOPE, and that will put them in contact with a foreclosure prevention agency through IHCDA. So the next update I have, which is Mark brought up rental assistance, and IHCDA has been working with multiple different partners. HUD has issued a request for applications for mainstream vouchers, and those vouchers are for persons with disabilities that are at risk of being homeless. We're submitting an application for $5 million to assist an estimated 997 households. We'll find out in August if we're accepted that application. IHCA currently does administer a small mainstream program, and so we're excited about our application and the partnerships that we have with FSSA Division on Aging, FSA's Division on Disability and Rehabilitation Services, Agencies on Aging, the Centers for Independent Living, and the Governor's Council for Persons with Disabilities have all been a partner and provided us with support in our application, along with the Back Home Alliance. So we're really proud of the partnerships that we have in our application. We feel like it'll be very competitive in applying for the maximum award amount that we can receive, which is $5 million. So really proud of the team's work, Greg and Matt and Jill, for everything that they've done in helping us kind of bring a lot of these pieces together. So it's quite an undertaking, but we got a positive application. We're also working on another application. I won't get into too much detail today because I didn't bring it, but we're working with one for additional rental assistance for families unification program. And so that's another program. I can give you more information at the next board meeting on that one, on the progress of our application and when we expect to submit it and when do we expect to hear back. So we have two initiatives currently underway to bring in additional resources for rental assistance. To your point, Mark, obviously there's not enough resources that we have to be able to address those issues. So We just launched the Energy Assistance Summer Cool Program. With our Energy Assistance Program, we'll provide a one-time benefit for households, low-income households that are eligible for up to $210 during the cooling season, and that'll go through August 24th. So we're proud that we're able to launch the Energy Assistance Cooling Program this year. And then the other piece that I have, the real estate team has been having listening sessions and meeting with communities across the state. They've had some regional meetings. We kicked it off on June 12th in Lafayette, and then they've been in Lawrenceburg, Jasper, Huntington, and Sheridan. And that'll be in June and July. We'll be out, again, talking about and informing communities about IHCDA's programs, and also just listening to understand what the challenges are and the barriers that are out there when it comes to affordable housing, so we can continue to ensure that our policies are aligned with the greatest needs across our state. So that process is underway right now for June and July with our real estate team. So that's just a quick update on what we've been working on. The next board meeting in July will be at IHCDA, and then in August we'll be back on the road. We'll be going down to Jeffersonville for a new development that just had a ribbon cutting in the spring called the M-Fine on Spring. So we're excited to be part of that in Jeffersonville in August. So, but next month we'll be back at IHCDA's office. So.
Any questions? I just want to comment at the Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Task Force, which I chair. We met in Valparaiso yesterday, and I shared the information on the mainstream voucher application, and people are extremely excited about that because housing is such an important part of quality of life for individuals with disabilities. So fingers crossed for a positive outcome on an application. That'll be in August.
August, yes.
Thank you. Any further business to come before this board? If not, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We stand adjourned. Thank you again, Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, for hosting us here, and to Mark McDaniel from Sinair and Dara Grady from Flaherty McCollins. Thank you all for having us. We appreciate it.